although black women or black people, specifically black women, are the most religious or Christian in America, our outcomes do not show that. So at that point, that's just a claim. That's just a check mark on the survey. Are you Christian? Yes or no? Well, I think I am. Yes. I grew up in church. Yes. I go to church occasionally. Yes. I do believe in a God. Yes. No, I think a lot of black people have become agnostic, meaning they believe something is out there, but they haven't committed to Christianity. They haven't committed to Jesus, because you would see it in every aspect of our lives. We would have thriving, married homes and families. We would not have a STI crisis in our community, an out-of-wedlock birth crisis, a multiple baby mother and father crisis, a jail or prison crisis. You know, some of these things are our own issues and our own behaviors. Not everything is white supremacy, especially now, when, like I said, the people who are outperforming white people, they're Indian Americans. We are focused on so many other things, and we're not focusing on growing our community. And the way we grow our community as Black Americans is, one, have a strong faith. We need to get back to God and stop playing games. Number two, strong faith will produce strong family values. When you do things God's way, you know what He wants, it will go out into your daily life. So then you will prioritize getting married and having children in wedlock and raising your children well. That's what builds generational wealth. And at one point we had that, and people were so scared at that time of us branching off and being successful and even overcoming them, that they put laws and different things in place to get us out of here. But also we allowed ourselves to take on the mindsets to be distracted, to be baby mamas, to be baby fathers, to do everything but get back to God and get back to where we need to be. Hopefully I've been able to convey to you why it's so important for us as Black people to get married, to have children in marriage, to expand our community, you know, to do things right. Because we have all of these other people from various places coming here who are marriage minded, they have strong faith, strong community, and they're growing while our community is still stagnant. Since the 70s, we haven't grown. We're 13% of the population. We're more likely to be divorced as Black people. We're less likely to get married. We have all these sexual issues and sexual problems, more children out of wedlock. All of those things bring us into poverty and despair. But when you have a culture that prioritizes faith and education and family values, marriage, doing things God's way will cause you to succeed. And that is why we, unfortunately, as Black Americans, are dwindling. We are dwindling into the abyss, so focused on entertainment, so focused on living our best life and YOLO, so focused on white supremacy that we don't see the new supremacy coming. It's not white people.
American Black women are facing a crisis. Stereotyped, generalized, fetishized, single, impoverished, obese, and heavily studied. How can Black women at large break away from society's negative perceptions and even our own damaging behaviors to move into God's perfect design? This ministry seeks to empower Black women to achieve God's goals for their lives by becoming elegant, healthy, loving, honorable women of standard. And lastly, an elite marriageable class of women no man looking for a wife can turn down. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now let's get started.
Hi wives and future wives, how are you? Thank you so much for coming to this channel. This is Abigail. This channel exists to empower Black women to faith, wifehood, and proper imaging. Click the link below to get your free wife mindset guide. In order to be a wife, you have to think like a wife. A wife is not just a woman married under the law, but she is a mindset. Click the link below. It's free. It's a short read. Also, Marriages for Black Women 2 is out. It is the ebook, and it talks about how we were the most married women in America, and then now we are the least married women and the most likely to divorce. So check that out about how that happened, why, and what we can do to fix that. Also, wife affirmations for the new year are below, and that is free as well. How are you guys? I hope you're doing great. I have a topic, and I'm going to release this video on the mailing list first. So if you are not on my mailing list, click the link below to join, because I am going to start releasing videos early for the audience who are on my mailing list. And then I will release the video to the full public in my YouTube channel after. But I think this is a topic that may be controversial, and so I want to release this video for the mailing list first. But before we get into the topic, let's pray. God, I just ask that you would speak through me and give those who need to hear this ears to hear. In Jesus' name, amen. Happy New Year. I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas. I hope you guys are working towards your wifehood goals, your image goals, your faith goals, whatever you have going on, in Jesus' name. Elon Musk is the world's richest man. He is also owner of the social media app X, which used to be called Twitter. And he has been making some controversial statements on X for a while now. But this statement set off a huge part of the MAGA base. So one thing you have to understand is, when it comes to politics, there is the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. And then there's little ideologies that kind of branch off in both parties, right? So no one's completely Democrat, no one's completely Republican in some instances. Some people are. But what Donald Trump is, he's created a populist movement, MAGA. Then you have establishment Republicans, okay, who are very conservative, but MAGA is made up of people who used to be Democrats, or people who are center right, or people who are just in the center. You have some independents as well. And then you have some classical old school Republicans who have transitioned over to MAGA. And so MAGA is a whole kind of ideology and movement in itself, aside from the Republican Party, but their common interest is supporting President-elect Trump and the policy they agree with. So that's what MAGA is, okay? So we have to understand that, yes, there are two political parties and two political sides, Democrats and Republicans. But within that, there's, in the Republican side, for example, there's people who are super conservative. There's people who are moderately conservative. Then there's people who are more center, but they agree with more conservative policies or principles. And so they make up the Republican Party now. The Democrat side, there are people who are center left, okay, or centrist, but they lean more left and they like more of the left policies and social policies. Then you have those who are super progressive, they may believe in child transitioning. They may believe a lot of welfare and social programs and things like that people on the right may not believe in. And so even within the Democratic Party, there are various sectors, right, of Democrat. And for a long time, at least in the last 10 years, the super progressive side of the Democrat Party has taken over and has been at the forefront. But now with the recent election, with the conservative or the Republican Party taking over, going into MAGA, that has changed. And now the leftist progressive in policies and politics are not at the forefront anymore. And I think you're going to start seeing the Democrat Party change and become more center left, become more centrist, and not so far to the extreme left, because they feel that is why they were losing the election this year. So I wanted to just put that out there before I go into this issue, so you can understand why people in the conservative movement are upset with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy, he ran for the Republican nominee for president, and he made a big name for himself. He owned a big company. He was valedictorian in high school, I believe. He's an Indian American. His family immigrated from India to here, and he is married to one of the best throat. I believe his wife is a throat surgeon or throat doctor in the country, and he has 2 children. And he made a big splash in the Republican Party, although he did not win the nomination, but he's still a big figure in the Republican Party because he talked a lot about the corruption of the government and the CIA and all of these different entities in the government. He talked against it. And if you notice, a lot of the MAGA movement is anti-establishment. A lot of the MAGA movement positions or promotes itself as anti-corruption, anti-establishment. Okay, now that doesn't mean they don't accept billionaires like Elon Musk or multimillionaires like Vivek in their party, but if you're going to be in their party, you better stand for what they stand for. And this is why there's a rift now, because Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy talked about the HB1 program and how they believe that we need to keep this program going, how having these top 1% immigrants are conducive to America thriving, because a lot of Americans don't want the type of jobs that these people from overseas do that are on this program. And a lot of the people from overseas have a better intellectual culture than America has. Basically, if you want to read between the lines, Elon and Vivek was saying that a lot of Americans are lazy and not really qualified for the top jobs that a lot of people on this HB1 program are qualified for and can do. And so that set off a lot of people in the MAGA movement. That really upset them because, okay, and this is where there needs to be some research done, because, you know, Trump and the MAGA movement is heavily against illegal immigration, right? But you may say, well, this is not an illegal immigration. An HB1 visa is a legal process, and that is allowing immigrants to come over who are the best of the best of the best to come and work in America. However, there are a lot of people in the MAGA movement who believe that the HB1 visa is a problem because they feel like a lot of people have used that visa the same way a lot of illegals are using amnesty. They need protection kind of trope. And it's not real. There has been a lot of talk about how the program is actually corrupt. There has been a lot of talk for years about how the program is not accepting the top 1% from, of engineers and computer scientists from different countries. But people are getting in just to become regular teachers. People are getting in who are basically just lifeguards. To get a job and to get in the country with this program, you have to have a job. It's a work visa for those who are immigrants. And they're saying that a lot of people who are immigrants are not using these jobs for the top 1% stuff that Elon and Vivek are saying. Some of these people in this program are using it for basic jobs that everyday Americans can do. And so a lot of people were upset with Vivek and Elon because they feel like you're downplaying America. You're saying we're lazy. Americans are lazy. They're not the best workers. They're not qualified. These foreign people are more qualified than actual Americans. Another reason why this is getting people upset is because apparently President-elect Trump said that he was thinking or looking into possibly banishing this program, the HB1 visa program, that he was open to, looking into it and being okay with it. But in 2016, he ran on strong borders. And in 2016, he was actually very outspoken against this program. He was very negative towards it. He said things about the program that was negative. And then in 2020, when he was president and COVID and everything was happening, he actually suspended the program altogether. He got rid of it, right? And so a lot of people in the MAGA movement are a little bit upset with President-elect Trump and with Elon and Vivek because they feel like Elon and Vivek have a big sway on President Trump. For him to once be very against this program to now he is saying, well, I'll look into it. It may not be as bad as I thought. It may not be so bad. People are saying that Elon and Vivek are changing his mind because they're close to him and they're very outspoken in the MAGA party. So I just wanted to give you it wasn't quick, but I wanted to give you an understanding of the background of what this is so you can understand what this video is about. The reason why I want to make this video is because regardless of your political stance or what you feel, the American Black population, specifically Black people who are descendants of chattel slavery, okay, in America, our population has been stagnant for a very long time. Our population has been at 13% for a long time. Now, if you look on blackdemographics.com or census reports, it reports that the Black community in America is actually at 15%. But that's wrong because Pew Research study says that the reason why the Black community seems to have grown is because of foreign Blacks coming into America. So mostly Caribbean Blacks or Blacks from islands. You have Africans. All of these other Black people around the globe are coming into America and they are settling here. They see more Black people coming in. These people identify as Black, and so they lump them in with Black people who actually were descendants of slavery in America, right? When you look at the research, it says that it's 15% of the population, Black people. But in reality, when you really cipher through the numbers, Pew Research has shown this, and it's even on blackdemographics.com. Those who are not foreign-born Blacks, right, not immigrant Blacks, only 13% of the population of Black Americans that were actually born, raised here, and are descendants of slave are actually here. So the number 13% has been like that for a long time. Now, some people say it's been like that since Roe v. Wade. Black Americans are the number one abortion client. There's even this saying that more Black babies are aborted in New York City than born. And so there's a lot of reasons why this may be happening. Some people say, well, it's a lot of Black men and Black people in jail, and so they're not being able to procreate. Others are saying homosexuality being on the rise in the Black community. I've heard someone say that's why Black people are not growing. It's homosexuality. It's because of prison. A lot of Black men are locked up, or a lot of Black women are locked up. Then they're saying it's because of abortion. To me, I definitely think the abortion argument is probably the strongest, because if you even look at ads, a lot of ads in Planned Parenthood and a lot of the abortion clinics are in Black neighborhoods. And a lot of even Black pastors have basically been in bed, not all, but a lot historically have been in bed with Margaret Sanger's idea to exterminate the Black population. Once a population that had promise, once a population after slavery that was growing and was having some economic strides. When you think of Oklahoma, and when you think of Harlem, New York, when you think of all of those places where Black people were really having some economic strides. And so people say that Margaret Sanger, she wasn't this savior. She wasn't this feminist. She was really a racist who didn't like Black people and found a way to legally exterminate them. And now Planned Parenthood has basically, under the guise of feminism and empowerment, made it so that Black women are willing to do this on their own and do it in a way where they're not feeling bad about it, right? And there was even a memoir or something that she wrote, a memo, where she was talking about how, like, in order to exterminate Black people, we have to get in bed with Black churches, because at that time in the 60s and the 50s, like, the Black church was really the social mecca for Black Americans. That is where we learned that, not just about faith, but that's where people met their spouses. That's where people got married and children, were educated and all of that. If you look at the civil rights movement, you look at a lot of the leaders from the civil rights movement, Dr. King and others, a lot of them had a church background. Reverend Jesse Jackson, like, these had a church background. They were pastors. They were in the pulpit. They were very heavy in the ministry. And so what Margaret Sanger was doing is kind of like what it is now. Back in the day, the Black church was like the mecca and the center for Black life. Okay? Black excellence, Black entertainment, spirituality, Black culture, and community. It all came from the Black church. That has switched because we know that the rates of Black people going to church, especially in the new generation, Gen Z and younger, are down, and they have plummeted. And they have actually been plummeting since the silent generation, but they've definitely plummeted millennials and Gen Z. So now, instead of the Black church being the mecca or the place where Black people come together and you can advertise to Blacks, we've replaced the church with entertainment. So I've mentioned this before, but Nielsen, basically the number one source to do research for who all the demographics watching TV, media, social media. Black people use more social media and watch more reality TV and just TV or entertainment than any other race of people in America. So now, these abortionists and these people know that BET, that Instagram, that Facebook, that social media, that reality TV channels or whatever, these are the places where Black people, specifically Black women, hang. And this is where we can get them information instead of the Black church. And so I just wanted to say all of that because it connects. I do believe abortion has a lot to do with the dwindling population. And I do believe there's other reasons, but I do think that there has been at least 20 million Black babies that have been aborted since Roe v. Wade. Another thing, illegal immigration. We're not just talking about H-1 visas, but illegal immigration affects Black men the most. And this is why I'm really kind of concerned about a lot of Black Americans' political knowledge, because a lot of times you will see Black people hop on the bandwagon of being the protectors of every other marginalized community, whether it's LGBT issues, and I'm going to say specifically Black women, because I've said this before, Black women run the Black community. So whatever interest the Black woman is into and pushing, that's kind of just where Black men follow. Okay. And so You see a lot of Black women who are more open to the LGBT community, and they're open to illegal immigration. They're sympathetic to it, is what I would say. Not knowing that these things actually hurt us. And they definitely hurt Black men the most, because a lot of people who come over the border, companies don't have to pay so much money for them. They don't have to pay them a regular wage that they are by law required to pay Americans. So they come and bring these people in over the border, and they give them these low-skilled jobs that should be for Americans, specifically Black Americans, specifically Black men. They don't do that because these illegal immigration opens the door for them to pay these people less money, and they don't even look Black men's way. To be honest, Black men are more likely to have criminal records. And so when you have a criminal record, it affects your ability to get a good job. And then also Black men are less likely to be college educated out of all the races. So they're also not open to jobs like engineering or computer science or different things like that. And I'm talking about as a whole, because a lot of them are more likely to have criminal records than anybody else. And a lot of them are more likely to not be college educated, like have a degree, especially a degree in those fields that actually pay good money, like engineering, computer science, those things, right? And so that means that they're only able to have those low-skilled jobs. But the problem is when you have illegal immigration and you have people, companies, and corporations exploiting illegal immigration, then they're thinking, I don't need to hire a Black person, a Black man, because I can hire these people who are coming over the border and I don't have to pay them so much money. It helps the company's bottom line, but it doesn't help Black men get a stable job. And this hurts Black men and our Black community, because if Black men don't have stable work, it hurts Black men's chances to not only be employed and stay employed, but it also hurts their chances to have a family. It hurts their marital chances. It hurts their chances because you need a job to take care of your wife and children. And if you don't have a job to take care of your wife and children because they're being taken by illegal immigrants, then that's going to be a problem. It's plenty of articles that show that illegal immigration hurt Black men the most. And this is why Black men should be more vocal about illegal immigration. This is why Black women should not be so much in our feelings and looking for people who represent us skin color wise or gender wise, but look for people who represent our policies. Because if Black women want to be married to Black men, then you need to understand that these type of policies that some of these political parties are pushing to cater to immigration that hurts our community, this is not good for us. And it's going to lessen your chances of being with a Black man and being married to him, right? So that's one thing. And also, if you say, well, I'm a Black woman, I don't want a man who has a low-skilled job. I want a Black man who's got a real good degree, has a good job, and he's an engineer. Okay, that's fine. But even the H-1 visa debate, that could be a problem, because if it is true that a lot of people who are using this HB1 visa are actually abusing it, then that hurts a Black man who is an engineer, who does have a good degree to give him a good salary. That hurts him, because these companies, Elon Musk said it, and Vivek is saying it. These companies and these people are pushing for these foreign hires before a Black American man who has a degree and who has an engineering degree or whatever. So that's why we need to understand these policies and these things and not get so emotional in our skin color or our gender or whatever. We need to understand how this stuff affects our community. Because if you want a man to be the head of the household financially and every other way, you need a man that has a stable job. And if he can't get a stable job because he is not getting hired, companies rather pay someone that's foreign born over a Black American man who is a legal citizen and has been born and raised here and his family here for generations, then that's going to affect that. This is also an issue because Black people have the lowest marital rates. And most Black people, specifically Black women, want to be married to Black men. This has been proven statistically. Black women are more loyal to Black men. They want to be married, and vice versa. Now, Black men are more likely to slightly date out or marry outside their race, but a majority of Black men who are married to Black women. And a majority of Black women who are married to Black men, and a majority of Black women want to be married to Black men, right? And so this is why this issue affects you, because overall, what I want to just convey after giving you this little lesson or this history lesson in the best way I can explain it, that If you want to be a Black woman or a Black man who concerns themselves with the Black community, you have to be pro-family. You have to understand that all these other cultures who are coming over here, whether it's legally, illegally, whatever. Then you have people like Vivek Ramaswamy, and you have Elon Musk, who is an American citizen, but he's also from South Africa as well. Like, you have to realize that these people are looking out for their own people, and they come from a culture that is very strong about family values. Indians are very strong about family values. A lot of them practice arranged marriage. They've been married for centuries and centuries. They don't get divorced quickly. Like, they don't just get divorced, for reasons like Americans, we get divorced for anything. They don't get divorced. It's like the marriage is literally a binding contract, not just between two individuals, but between two families. And they are very, very, they respect and they honor what marriage is. And that's one of the reasons why their culture is doing so well, as far as when they come over here and they assimilate to American culture. They are doctors, they are engineers, they are data programmers, they are all of these things that make good money. They get master's degrees. They bring their other family from here to there. Vivek Ramaswamy is just saying what a lot of Indians believe about Americans. And also, he's just doing what a lot of Indians do, is he's looking out for his people. He's saying to the MAGA people, you can be upset about the HB1 program and visa and everything that I said, but it's the truth. My culture is superior to yours, and we are more intelligent, we are more educated, we have a better family culture, we prioritize education, we prioritize marriage. You Americans prioritize Saved by the Bell. You prioritize the jock. You prioritize everybody that's popular, the prom queen, over Steve Urkel, over Screech from Saved by the Bell, over the nerd. But my culture doesn't. And that's why when my culture comes to America and settle, we do great. And he's not wrong in the sense that if you look at the stats, it's not white people who are doing it great financially, even in family. It's actually Indians. Indian Americans make more money than white people in every other race of people in America. They are more educated, they make more money, and they're less likely to get a divorce. And having those very strong family values and ties and that education, it all links to each other. It all meshes, and that's why they're doing good. And I want to warn people, because there are some Black people who are so concerned about white supremacy, so concerned about what white people have done and what white people are doing, and white this, white that, white supremacy. But you're not even thinking about the new supremacy. In my belief, the new supremacy is a lot of people who are foreign born, coming from wherever they're coming from, settling in America, doing very well in America, looking down on Americans and Black Americans for that, looking down on us, but yet they won't tell you that, but they'll assimilate, make you think they're your friends, key with you, but in reality, they're looking down on you. They think they're better than you. And then once they have the opportunity to be here, they are light years ahead. There are some people who say, oh yeah, we're in the struggle with you guys. And I'm talking about Black Americans. We're in the struggle with you guys. We understand the struggle. They may march alongside you. They may attend your baby shower. They may do all that stuff with you. But at the end of the day, they're going back home. And a lot of them have a lot of disdain for Black Americans. I've heard many people say, foreign-born people who come here say Black Americans are lazy. They don't take advantage of the opportunities in America. They're always crying racism. All they do is talk about white supremacy. Yet I'm coming over here from a third world country, or from a country that doesn't have what America has, and my family is thriving. And I just want to caution Black people from being so concerned about white supremacy, and we're not seeing what's going on. I think what Elon and Vivek did, it should open a lot of Black Americans' eyes to realize how important strong culture is, strong family values is. And also, it's so important to do things God's way, because even if you're not a Christian, but you do things God's way, you still benefit. But God's way proves right regardless of who's doing it. A lot of people who are Indians are Hindu. They're not even Christians. A majority of them are not. There's a majority of people from various countries who are coming over here that may not be Christians. Okay, but they have strong family values. They're getting married. They're not just getting a divorce for any old reason. Okay, they're getting educated. Strong families produce strong individuals and children, which will produce a strong lineage in America. And that's what they've done. And we're not paying attention to that because we're so focused on white supremacy, and we're so focused on reality TV, and we're so focused on podcast shows yelling and fighting against each other, and men and women fighting against each other. And we don't realize that there are other people who are immigrating over here who don't care anything about any of that stuff that we as Black Americans are paying attention to. They see that we have a big, strong baby mama culture. We have all these people having babies out of wedlock in our community, and we don't think anything of it. Actress Zendaya, she recently apparently has got engaged to her Spider-Man co-star, Tom Holland. They've been dating for a long time. And somebody sent out a tweet after they found out about the engagement and said, see, Zendaya got a ring before a baby. And that made a lot of people either upset with that tweet or they were happy with that tweet. A lot of people were saying, that's right, marry before you carry. First comes love, then marriage, then a baby, and a baby carriage. That's how it's always been. That's how it should be. Stop uplifting toxic culture. And then other people was like, let's just congratulate a woman regardless of her life choices. Let's not put down Black women who have had babies first. Let's not, people live their lives the way they want to live their lives. So something like that started off a firestorm. But one thing we're not understanding is Zendaya is doing it right. And the reason why she's doing it right, and first of all, a lot of Black people, specifically Black women, love Zendaya. It's like she can't do no wrong. She is a beautiful girl. She's very loved by a lot of Black women in the Black community. I don't really see anybody saying anything negative about her. She is a Black woman, and she's biracial as well. And I think she's a good representation or a role model, especially now that she's getting engaged before she's having a baby. I think that's great because you're seeing all these other Black girls like Sky Jackson, Naomi Osaka. You see, Haley Bailey. You see all these other Black women who are having babies before they get married. And then when it comes to Zendaya, you see how Zendaya is, saying, I'm not going that route. And I think it's because she had good parents. Zendaya was raised by both her mother and father. Now, her mother and father are not together now. However, her father has been very active in her life. It is not a situation where some of these other women that I've talked about, where their fathers are not, that are getting pregnant, their fathers are not there, and they were raised in a single mother home. You see her happy with her father. You see her on red carpets with both her parents. I mean, they give the illusion that they're a perfect, happy family, which I know they're not. But the father is involved in Zendaya's life. And I believe, and the stats show, that when a father is active and involved in his daughter's life, she is less likely to make bad decisions relationship-wise. She's less likely to be a baby mama. She's less likely to, have premarital sex early in life. She's less likely to suffer from depression, anxiety. She's less likely to have a baby out of wedlock, all that stuff. And her father is very active in her life. And I think that has something to do with it. And apparently her boyfriend asked her father the traditional way for her hand in marriage. And as you can see clearly from reports, she said yes and he said yes. And so we have to stop acting like having a two-parent married home isn't conducive to a better life. Doing things God's way isn't conducive to a better life. And in the case of Zendaya's parents, although her parents are not together, they have been able to parent very, very well. And despite their differences, they come together, they seem to be friendly, and her father has been super active in her career and everything that she's doing. And I think that is why she's going down a better path than Sky Jackson, than Naomi Osaka, than all of these other people whose parents are in and out of their lives, or they coming from broken homes, or maybe even the environment of, the baby mama world and culture is getting them. I think also Zendaya doesn't seem to hang around the same circles as certain Black women in Hollywood who have been making these negative choices when it comes to having babies out of wedlock. I haven't really seen many pictures of Zendaya with, a Haley Bailey or a Naomi Osaka or certain people that a Sky Jackson or certain. I haven't really seen that many pictures or heard anything of them being lifelong friends or anything like that. I don't really know who her friends are, and she keeps her life private, and that's great. And I don't even know what her mindset is, but I do know that her mindset is a wife, because she's saying, I'd rather be a wife before I get pregnant. And that's a great mindset. And I think that's a great role model for Black young girls to look up to, because so many other Black women are doing it the opposite. And she's like, no, I'm going to get married first. And, I heard somebody say, well, she got married because she was with a white man and Black men don't believe in marriage. First of all, if you are a marriage-minded woman, this is where we have to hold ourselves accountable, okay? If you are a marriage-minded woman, it doesn't matter the race of the man at all. A marriage-minded woman is going to get married, okay? It doesn't matter what race of man she gets married to. She's going to get married because it's in her mind. She's not here to play games. She's not here to date. She's not here to lust. She's not here to have flings. She wants to get married, and she will make it clear immediately. And if the man that she's with is not about that, he will be gone. She will leave him. She will move on until she finds someone that wants to be married. So we have to stop sitting here and blaming men for all of our problems sometimes. We need to say, listen, maybe I'm not attracting the right man. Maybe I'm not even attracted to a marriage-minded man. Do I even have the mindset of a wife to be married and to attract a marriage-minded man? Get the wife mindset ebook below. It is free. It is very short read. Right? We can't just say, oh, it's Black man's fault or this person's fault. No. If you are a woman who is, in a 21st century woman living in America, you have a lot of freedoms, and you have the freedom to choose if you want to be a wife or not. You have the freedom to know if you're going to have premarital sex, and you have the freedom to know if you're going to have a child, and you have the freedom to get married. And if you're choosing everything other than getting married, you can't say it's a man's fault. A man will only do what you allow him to do. So if you allow him to have sex with you without a ring, he's going to do that. If you allow him to have a baby with you without a ring, he's going to do that. But if you say, no, my boundaries are, no, you're not crossing my boundaries. I want to be married before I have sex, or I want to be married before I have a child, then the man that is a husband, he will respect that and do it. And anyone else, they will leave you alone quickly. Once they know that you are serious, they will be gone because they don't want to deal with you. They want something that's easy. They don't want a commitment. Don't even be upset if men leave once you tell them, I want to be married. Good. Let them go so you can open yourself up for the right man. So it's not Black men's fault. It's not men's fault. It's Black women. We need to make sure we have the right standards and we're attracting the right man. Hopefully I've been able to convey to you why it's so important for us as Black people to get married, to have children in marriage, to expand our community, to do things right. Because we have all of these other people from various places coming here who are marriage-minded. They have strong faith, strong community, and they're growing while our community is still stagnant. Since the 70s, we haven't grown. We're 13% of the population. We're more likely to be divorced as Black people. We're less likely to get married. We have all these sexual issues and sexual problems, more children out of wedlock. All of those things bring us into poverty and despair. But when you have a strong faith, a strong family culture, okay, a strong culture that prioritizes faith and education and family values, marriage, doing things God's way will cause you to succeed. And that is why we, unfortunately, as Black Americans are dwindling. We are dwindling into the abyss, so focused on entertainment, so focused on living our best life and YOLO, so focused on white supremacy that we don't see the new supremacy coming. It's not white people. White people aren't as rich white people are suffering from low marriage rates. They're suffering from divorce. They're suffering from, out of wedlock births as well. Not to the extent that Black people are. They are still more likely to be married, to be financially wealthy than Black people. However, they are suffering as well. And they are not the number one race in America when it comes to finances and economic power, and when it comes to, family power. It's actually Indian Americans. It's actually people like Vivek Ramaswamy and all the people that he's vying for, that he's trying to get over here so that they can continue to grow in America while we are focused on so many other things, and we're not focusing on growing our community. And the way we grow our community as Black Americans is, one, have a strong faith. We need to get back to God and stop playing games. Number two, strong faith will produce strong family values. When you do things God's way, you know what He wants, you know what He requires, then it will go out into your daily life. So then you will prioritize getting married and having children in wedlock and raising your children well. That's what builds generational wealth. And at one point we had that, and people were so scared at that time of us branching off and being successful and even overcoming them, that they put laws and different things in place to get us out of here. But also we allowed ourselves to take on the mindsets to be distracted, to be baby mamas, to be baby fathers, to do everything but get back to God and get back to where we need to be. If you want to make a community go away, you get rid of the family, you get rid of their religion. And that's what they've done. Because although Black women or Black people, specifically Black women, are the most religious or Christian in America, our outcomes do not show that. So at that point, that's just a claim. That's just a check mark on the survey. Are you Christian? Yes or no? Well, I think I am. Yes. I grew up in church. Yes. I go to church occasionally. Yes. I do believe in a God. Yes. No, I think a lot of Black people have become agnostic, meaning they believe something is out there, but they haven't committed to Christianity. They haven't committed to Jesus, because you would see it in every aspect of our lives. We would have thriving, married homes and families. We would not have a STI crisis in our community, an out of wedlock birth crisis, a multiple baby mother and father crisis, a jail or prison crisis. You know, some of these things are our own issues and our own behaviors. Not everything is white supremacy, especially now, when, like I said, the people who are outperforming white people, they're Indian Americans, not even white people anymore. And you're so focused on white Americans that you're not focused on all these other people that are coming over here and setting up shop and setting up their families, and they have a strong culture and history, and they are expanding. Look at the numbers and stop allowing propagandists and people who are race hustlers deceive you, because they are getting you so focused on something so superficial. They're getting you so focused on the past that you don't even see the future. You don't see what's happening. Our communities are dwindling. Our communities are not catching up. We have really bad. We are at the bottom, and we've been here. We have been here for the longest time. We have been here longer than anybody else. We have been here. We have been here. And yet, what do we have to show for it? Because at one point after slavery, we were getting married. At one point after slavery, we were building our businesses and schools. At one point after slavery, we were actually doing well. But then something happened and it stopped. And we let government programs and propaganda and music and all this other stuff distract us from getting back to God and getting back to business and standing on business for real, which is faith and family. Instead, we're so distracted. And now we are a minority in our own country. Listen, they said to Jesus, his disciples, your mother and your brother are looking for you. And Jesus said, who is my mother? Who is my brother? The one who does my will, that is. So it's not even about blood anymore. It's about who has the same values, outcomes, and who has the same goals that I have at this point. And if you're surrounding yourself and with distractions and things that have no bearing on, they don't have the same values. They don't have anything there but to entertain you, distract you, or just keep you thinking about stuff, keep you in a negative space. That's not your brother. That's not your father. That's not your blood. That's not your family. And other races of people know that. They leave behind people and communities in their culture that they feel is going to bring them down. Unfortunately, in the Black community, especially, look at the sexy reds of the world. Look at what we're putting out there, and look at what the media and a lot of us are glorifying. Instead of leaving those people behind, we actually are in bed with them. We are connected to them. And that's why people think that's the Black community, and that was never the Black community. Those were the people that they were like okay, bye. We don't need you, because you're not making us better. You're actually pushing us backwards, and we need to go forward. So anyways, I hope you understand everything that I was saying. I'm just saying, like, Black people, we are dwindling in America. We are becoming extinct. Our population hasn't grown. Our marriage rates are in the tube, are down the drain. Divorce rates are high. Out of wedlock births are high. STI crisis is big. We don't know Jesus for real. We have a lot of problems, and we need to realize that we are being replaced. We don't see that. We don't know what's really happening with our community. So how do we fix this? Listen, these other people, they care about themselves. So Vivek, Elon, all of these people that are pushing immigration, whether it's legal or not, they are going to be making sure that their people come over here. Meanwhile, we're failing. Meanwhile, we're not getting married. We're not growing. We're aborting our babies. We're having children out of wedlock. We're having all these issues. So how do we fix it? We get back to God. We start having strong family values, and we start prioritizing marriage. We start prioritizing having children in wedlock, raising them well, educating them. And that is really how it's going to happen. Creating a community of Black Americans that are thriving, and disconnecting ourselves from Black Americans who are not showing any decision to change for real. They're not showing any value to push us forward. No, we shouldn't feel bad for them. If they don't want to move forward, then we have to go. We have to move on from them. Gideon, the story of Gideon, right? He had all these men, and God told him, here, I'm going to show you. There's some men that don't need to be here, but then there's some men that do need to be here. And at the end of the day, a lot of men left, okay, because they weren't ready to fight. They couldn't fight. They couldn't do it. They had to go. God said, send them home. If they too scared, they got to go home. And the ones that were left and ready to fight, I think it was only 300 of them. And that was very small to what they originally had and to what I believe the enemies had. But that 300 was able to win the war. And that's what I feel like. When it comes to Black community, there's some people in our community that we just got to be like, bye. We don't have it does not matter. We just bye. And not feel bad about it, right? You don't have to associate yourself from there. And I don't care if they call you bougie. Do you think you better than us? Blah, blah, blah. Who are my mother and my father? Those who do my will. If these people are not trying to uplift the Black community, get married, have the same values as us, why are we entertaining them? They're holding us back. And that's why one of the reasons why we've been held back so long in this country is because we've allowed ourselves to be entangled and intertwined with people who intentionally bring us down and don't want to do any better. They like being ignorant. They like toxic. And other communities are coming over here and growing. And you have Vivek, and you have politicians and social media people and everybody who are immigrants, who come from immigrants, who are telling you plainly, Americans, y'all are lazy. And we want our people to come over here. They're looking out for themselves. And I can't blame them. We should be looking out for ourselves. How are we as Black people looking out for ourselves? We're not. We're distracted. We're focusing on white supremacy. We're focusing on dumb stuff. We got awful representation in the media right now. We're not getting married. We have problems, and we need to get back to God and focus on faith and family again. In Jesus' name.